What is the explanation of the Midrash about Isaac being called thy only son when God ordered Abraham to sacrifice his son? In Islamic tradition, it is Ishmael and not Isaac whom God instructed Abraham to sacrifice his son. The Midrash, which is a form of rabbinic literature that provides interpretative commentary on the Torah, offers several explanations for why Isaac is referred to as Abraham's only son in the context of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. Here are some key points from the Midrashic perspective. The Midrash explains that while Abraham had two sons, Isaac held a unique status as the son of the covenant. He was born to Sarah, Abraham's wife, and was seen as the fulfillment of God's promise. Isaac is considered the spiritual heir of Abraham, chosen to carry on the legacy of monotheism and the covenant with God. In some Midrashic accounts, when God says, "Your only son," Abraham responds by saying he has two sons. God then specifies, "the one whom you love," and Abraham says he loves both. Finally, God says, "Isaac," clarifying his command. The phrase "only son" is interpreted to mean the son who is singularly devoted to God, emphasizing Isaac's spiritual qualities rather than his birth order. Some rabbinical commentators suggest that the Hebrew word for only can also mean unique or special, rather than strictly sole. The use of only son is seen as part of the test, emphasizing the magnitude of what God is asking Abraham to sacrifice. In contrast, the Islamic tradition, as recorded in the Quran, identifies Ishmael as the son whom Abraham was commanded to sacrifice. The Quranic narrative does not explicitly name the son, but Islamic tradition and many Muslim scholars have historically identified him as Ishmael. This is partly based on the sequence of events in the Quran, which suggests that the promise of Isaac's birth came after the sacrifice narrative, implying Ishmael was the son involved. The differences between the Jewish and Islamic narratives have been the subject of theological discussions and interpretations. Some scholars suggest that each tradition emphasizes different aspects of the story to highlight their theological and historical narratives. While the Islamic tradition interprets the sacrificial son to be Ishmael, based on him being the firstborn, Judaism relies on the Torah's explicit identification of Isaac and his special covenantal status to explain why Isaac is called the only son in this context. The two traditions remain at odds on this important narrative. In summary, the explanation of the Midrash about Isaac being called thy only son is a matter of religious interpretation, with Jewish and Islamic traditions holding different views on who was the son intended for sacrifice.